Welcome to Flash Editorials for November 23rd, 2012. I am Russell D. Longcore, the owner and editor of DumpDC.com. www.dumpdc.com presents Flash Editorials to you each week, and DumpDC is the world leader in secessionist thought. We show the world that secession is the only hope for personal liberty and property rights on this planet. Now, this was the week of Turkey Day, so not much was happening here in America except overeating. But before we go to the news, let's talk about something called a Black Swan event. We're talking about turkeys, and so let's kind of do this Black Swan thing. A Black Swan event is something that was the subject of a book written by Nassim Taleb in 2010, and here's what it is. Here's the definition. A Black Swan event is an event that is a surprise to the observer. It's nearly impossible to predict. It has a major effect, and usually it's only understood in hindsight. You got it? Now, think about the turkey that adorned your Thanksgiving table this Thanksgiving Day, yesterday. He recently had a Black Swan event. From his earliest consciousness, he was fed plenty every day. Based on his life experience, there was no reason for him to think that his lifestyle would not continue indefinitely. But abruptly, he was slaughtered. Now, for the turkey or for the pig that provided you your ham yesterday, or the chicken that provided you fried chicken, I had some fried chicken yesterday. For those birds and animals, there was no hindsight. There was no understanding of the event. As Soren Kierkegaard says, there are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to accept what is true. Don't allow secession to be a Black Swan event in your life. But let's go to the news. In the Nation, Part 1. You know, I had an epiphany this week. I finally figured out why Washington and the Federal Reserve are continuing with this thing called quantitative easing 3. Chairman Bernanke said it was to help the fragile economy, but that was only his latest lie. The Fed could not care less about the economy. The Fed is buying U.S. Treasuries and dropping that so-called liquidity into the U.S. banking sector. But banking cannot loan the money out to businesses at market interest rates because the Fed is holding interest rates artificially low. So, what does a banker do? Well, they lend that money in the overnights, something some other people call the LIBOR, L-I-B-O-R, but they lend that money back to the Fed at a safe rate, profitable rate for them, but no market risk. Now, this financial circle jerk protects Washington, and that's the most important thing to hear. It protects Washington from higher interest rates on its own debt. It's not about us, folks. It's about Washington. All taxation, well, let me go back. If D.C. had to start paying interest rates anything north of about 4%, all the money that they borrowed and all the money that they took in taxes would be eaten up, completely consumed, just to pay the interest on the debt. Not to pay down the debt, just the interest on the debt. There would be no money for any government program, including the military, Social Security, Medicare, nothing. It would all be gone just as debt service. So D.C. is really just covering their own asses and kicking this can down the road just a little farther. Their philosophy is they'll deal with the future crash when it happens, but just not today. Now in the Nation, Part 2. This is kind of strong, folks. Stay with me. Is it just me, or have you noticed, or has anybody else noticed that changing the party in power never changes policy? Now, we just went through an election and nothing changed really, but nothing changed and then nothing changed. Could it be that the two parties are essentially one party? It would be one thing if one party stood for strict constitutionality, for example, and then the other party stood against or rejected strict constitutionality. But both parties totally ignore the Constitution. and they do whatever the hell they choose. Well, actually, they do exactly what they are told. Now that the election's over, President Steppenfetchit and his congressional homeboy posse are now getting the mainstream media worked up over the latest meme, which is the phrase, quote, the fiscal cliff. Now, a moment. For you friends that don't know who Steppenfetchit is, let me give you a little history. Back in the 1920s and 30s, there was a black actor named Lincoln Perry who played a character named Steppenfetchit. He was very popular in the movies. Matter of fact, Lincoln was the first black actor to get an IMDb credit. He was the first black actor to get a credit on a movie, and he was the first black actor to earn $1 million in Hollywood. But the name was a play on words. These were the words that a slave owner would say to a slave. For example, I need my umbrella. Step and fetch it. Now, this character was described as the laziest man in the world. The name Steppenfetchit became an automatic label for a lazy, subservient, bumbling, dim-witted, good-for-nothing black man. A nigger in the truest racist definition. Now that you know who Steppenfetchit was, so now you know who he was. And the reason I use that term today is that Mr. Obama is Steppenfetchit for the oligarchy that runs America. But don't get the idea that Barry's the first one. All the presidents since Reconstruction have been Steppenfetchit for the oligarchy. And don't kid yourself about this either. The Congress is full of Steppenfetchits, but I digress. The topic of the fiscal cliff was not really discussed before the election, and it is almost as if the White House press secretary issued talking points in the briefing room for the reporters to carry back to their offices and implement. But now that the so-called Sabbath gas bags, it's a great term for the people that are talking heads on Sunday mornings. Thank you, Rachel Maddow, for that one. So now that the so-called Sabbath gas bags have done their duty and opened up the topic, the Republicans, starting with House Majority Leader John Boehner, I know it's Boehner, but I like to call him Boehner because I'm 12 in my brain, and I think the name Boehner is funny. All of those Republicans are lining up to make more compromises on keeping spending going and raising your taxes. Both sides would get what they want if they would just shut the hell up and live with the deal that they made in 2011. The Democrats would get huge cuts in military spending, and the Republicans would get automatic cuts in domestic spending. But both sides cannot bear the thought of allowing the other side even the smallest victory. And even right after an election, Washington cannot abide the reality of big spending cuts sending the American economy into another tailspin. The real scary part of this story is that the power elite talking about this so-called fiscal cliff doesn't reveal how bad things really are, and it will help immunize D.C. from blame when the shit actually does hit the fan. See, you can be certain that Washington will blame free enterprise, capitalism, and the wealthy for the economic collapse that is at the bottom of that fiscal cliff. In international news, this week I saw news reports and alleged photos, could have come from anywhere, that were supposed to prove that Iran, who else, was helping Venezuela build intercontinental ballistic missile silos in Venezuela. Now, when the U.S. State Department representatives were asked about this story, they said they could not vouch for these reports. Well, I think these reports are planted stories by the CIA. Think about it. Who are the two biggest thorns in the flesh for Washington? That would be Iran and Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez. Now, doesn't anybody think that it's just too convenient that these two countries are supposed to be in cahoots on ICBM silos in Venezuela? I'm not buying it. Now, whether the story is true or not, what would make this story go away? Washington minding its own business would. Washington not pissing on all the other countries of the world and telling them it's raining, that would make, that at least could make our enemies at least not wish us harm. But what do I know? In business. Now, I'm the founder of a private, secret, members-only Twitter group. We are limiting our membership to just 20 members, and I've already got 5 members on board. If you have a Twitter following larger than 10,000 followers, my group will give you exposure to over 200,000 tweets each day for free. If you want this kind of exposure for your tweets, or you want to build your tweet list, your follower list, contact me on Twitter and use that little well, not the ampersand, but that A with a thing around it, circle around it, the @ sign that you use in your email. Use @Russ Longcore, RUSSLONGCORE. Follow me when you get there, and then leave me a direct message. We require members to sign a non-disclosure agreement because this is hush-hush because it works so well. Now here's tonight's commercial message. Would you like to learn how you could make all of your social networking, we're just talking about Twitter, make all your social networking pay you? Let me introduce you to a new company named Solavei, SOLAVEI. Solavei just launched nationwide on the 21st of September. They've gotten in over 75,000 new members, from nothing to 75,000 in 8 weeks. Pretty amazing. And they've created this company that will allow you to refer your friends and relatives and people you don't even know and make money doing those referrals. You don't have to sell anything. Simply just post messages and links and let your friends, family, and acquaintances look at them themselves. If they like what they see and they make a purchase, you get paid. Cool, huh? Solavei's first value proposition is this. Now check this. It's in mobile phone service. Unlimited talk, text, and data on a 4G nationwide network, $49 a month, no contract, no credit checks, no deposits. Then you can bring your own phone and your phone number with you. And enrolling is all done, it's all paperless, it's all done online, takes about 5 or 6 minutes, something like that tops. Now when I switched my iPhone from AT&T to Solavei, I was paying like $95, $96 a month. It's now $49. So I saved $46 a month. That's $552 a year that I saved, and I'm getting more value, more service for half the price. Coverage has been terrific. I got no complaints with this. I love this. But think about this. Cell phone service is a life essential service that nearly every person like age 10 up till death uses, and they use every day. And mobile phone users are not going to voluntarily give up their phone service. I mean, think about it. What would they do? There's a whole generation out there that have never had anything other than a cell phone. Are they going to get a landline? I kind of doubt it. Well, one of the reasons is, unless they got perfect credit, there's going to be a credit check and a deposit. A lot of people don't want to do, a lot of people don't want to do that. But Solavei, I lost my place a minute there. I'm sorry. I don't cut this, folks. This is raw video. I don't put this into a special thing and tweak it and all that kind of stuff. What you see is what you get. But I digress. So your phone bills, like utility bills, get paid every month, even when other expenses get cut or eliminated altogether. And that makes this business recession-proof. I don't know about any of you out there, but I imagine that there's maybe 1 in 10,000 that work in a truly recession-proof business. Now, would you like to have a business that's recession-proof, that goes just fine during economic hard times and goes even better when times are good? That's what this is. Solavei's business model is just this. Refer people you know to Solavei. When those people sign up just like you did, you receive monthly commissions as long as those people remain customers. And the average amount of time in the industry for a customer to remain with one company is 28 months. Now, think about your own situation. How many years have you been paying your phone bill to whoever? I've been paying a phone bill. I've been paying a cell phone bill since 1994, I think. So long time, and I know people that have been paying longer than that. But the idea is, um, you get people and they'll stay with you. And Solvay even has a plan whereby members can get their mobile phone service for free. Now, how many people getting free phone service are going to switch to somebody else? Probably none, right? Because how can you compete with free? So, anyway, to learn more, go to Dump. If you're not at Dump DC right now, go to dumpdc.com. Look for this flash editorial article. Scroll down this way to the video, and it's a Solvay video. It's only 6 minutes long, and then watch it and sign yourself up today. In the economy, the number of actual initial unemployment claims filed under state programs, unadjusted, uncooked by the government, was 397,691 for the week ending November 17th. Now this is a huge decrease. I mean, last week it was up 100,000. This week it's down 80,000. But the story is the number. And I keep coming back to this every week. There's over 350,000 people every week. And this week it's 397,000, nearly 400,000 people filing new unemployment claims, not renewing an old claim. These are brand new claims. 400,000 in a week. A week. That's the story. Folks, get you a business of your own. And about all these jobs that have been created by, or said to have been created by the Obama administration and schmucks like Mitt Romney, all jobs are not created equal. If you create two jobs that pay $10 an hour in the service sector, let's say, I don't know what it is. Listen, I know I had a conversation with some disc jockeys the other day, people that are on the air in Atlanta, which is a top 10 market, and they told me that they were getting paid $10 an hour to be technical, to be on the air in a top 10 market. They were making $10 an hour. So I'm just stunned at that. I mean, I know maids that make more than my maid makes more than that, but I digress once again. But if you say you created two $10 an hour jobs, but those jobs replace a high-paying job in the manufacturing sector that pays $50 an hour, you can truthfully say that you created more jobs than you lost, but the economic output is not the same. This is the dirty little secret that the politicians use about job creation. And the only reason they can get away with this over and over and over is that the American people don't know the difference, and they don't know the numbers behind the headlines. In sports, the Macho Man took his final shot to the head last Tuesday. Famous Puerto Rican boxer Hector Macho Man Camacho was sitting in a car outside a San Juan bar Tuesday night when a gunman came by and shot him in the head. Doctors have declared Camacho clinically brain dead. The other occupant in the car was also shot and killed. Now, Camacho had a professional boxing career record of 79 wins, 6 losses and 3 draws. He had won the world titles in the super lightweight, and junior welterweight divisions. Camacho had drug abuse issues throughout his life, and police found cocaine in the car when he was murdered. It's a terrible, tragic story, but that's the way it is. And finally, in entertainment, I watched the movie The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel last night with my wife, the redhead. Now, this is about British retirees that travel to Jaipur, India, where they all stay in kind of a fixer-upper hotel. There's no violence. There's no sex. There's no spicy language. There's just humanity and love gently shown. Now, please, rent this movie. There are a lot of spiritual themes in this movie that have nothing to do with any one religion. Carl Jung said this, quote, "You must give up the life you've planned for the life that is waiting for you," end quote. This movie is all about that. please see it. Well, that's all there is for tonight. Thanks for watching. I am Russell D. Longcore. For all of us here at Dump DC, good night and good luck. Dump DC. 6 letters that will change history. Copyright 2010, Russell Longcore. That's me. Permission to reprint in whole or in part is gladly granted, providing full credit is given. Good night, folks. Come again soon.